Welcome back, everyone, to another Chatting with Wisdom. And I am Geegado Megwan. Spirit name means talking feather woman, also known as Rollie Allaire. I empower women to stand in their truth so that they feel fulfilled and can achieve all their desires. This weekly interview series is to help support successful women who feel misunderstood and disempowered in relationships stand in their truth so they can communicate with confidence. Join me for a Stand in Your Truth call where you'll explore what's blocking you from communicating with confidence in your personal relationships. This week, Rianna, and I'm not even going to try and say her last name. I was going to, but I'm just going to let her say it. And today we're going to be chatting about, are you climbing the right mountain? So Rianna is a multi-passionate serial entrepreneur living a nomadic life for the last 11 years, traveling to 40 plus countries and working on 4 continents, has taught her to approach life and business with resourcefulness and resilience. She runs walking and hiking retreats for women who are just like her, childless, not by choice. From walking to the Camino
Camino de Santiago.
in Spain to watching the sunrise in Nepal. It's a fun, small group of women only experience to meet like minded women through amazing adventures. So, welcome. So, let's first start with your last name.
Hijlkema, Rianna Hijlkema. It's a Frisian name. So I'm from the Netherlands, and in the north of the Netherlands, we have a different way of speaking. We speak Frisian. I don't know if you heard about it.
I've never heard
No,
of it.
a lot of people think that in the Netherlands we only speak Dutch, but there's one province that's speaking Frisian, and I come from there. So my name is really hard to pronounce because of that.
Well, I was about to say it because I had said it with you, and then I'm going to read it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to even do that. I'm probably not going to do it correctly. So welcome. So tell me a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, which one? I have so many journeys.
Well, how did you become nomadic? So, start with that.
Yeah, that was never on purpose. I was living in the Netherlands. I was living the great life. I had a partner, I had a house. We were thinking about babies, and I had a good job. Had my friends and family all around me. But then I woke up one day and I started having this thought, and that continued in the days and weeks after. Like, is this it? Is this it now? Like, and I had a conversation with my partner back then, and he kind of had the same feeling. So we broke up, sold the house, and then I got a call from my boss. He made a mistake in the calculation, so I lost my job. And in that moment, within a time frame of 4 weeks, I lost everything.
Oh, wow.
But actually, yeah, but it's really funny because now looking back, I've not been really devastated about it. The only thing that was coming up in my mind was the whole time, okay, what's next? What do I want? And then I came across an advertisement for to become an au pair in France, in Paris. And I thought, why not? 3 months sounds good, sounds doable. I'll come back in 3 months and I'm a new Rianna. Well, the 3 months turned into 12 years and I'm still on the road. So yeah, best decision ever. I remember that first day that I stood on the bridge in Paris over the Seine, and I really made a promise to myself that day and said, from now on, I'm only going to do things that make me happy, things that light me up. And whenever I come in a situation that I don't feel happy, or it doesn't feel aligned with who I am, what I stand for, who I want to be, I need to leave. I need to change. And that's what I've been doing the last 12 years. And this is how I've built my whole life. I jump literally out of a bed in the morning, excited to work on my business, to meet, connect with women of my community, and do all this kind of thing. So
how long do you stay in one place?
The the first couple of years, that was like 1 year, and then I met my husband on a small island in Indonesia, and we started traveling together. And then we were fast travelers, like 1-2 weeks, moving, that new place. And we've been traveling together for almost 7 years now, and we're starting slowing down. So it's like, maybe it's not slow enough, but it's like 3 months. 2 years ago, we stayed for 6 months in Mexico. And so we're trying, but there's so many cool places to go. How can you slow down? There's so much to do still.
And that really is. And there are so many cool places. And
Yeah.
so have you ever been to Canada?
Yes. Yeah.
And where have you been in Canada?
On the east side of Canada.
Okay, nice.
So, yeah.
So, yeah, so we're in Ontario. So we're a little further than
Oh,
where you would have come in. So,
yeah.
yeah, so tell me a little bit more about this. So you talk about like, are you climbing the right mountain? So what does that
Right.
mean?
Yeah, well, so when I met my husband in Indonesia, and we had a long distance for the first couple of years, because my then husband, he's from Belgium, he was working in the Belgian army, and I was working in Madrid at that time. But at the moment when we started traveling together, everything just fell so much in place. Like, we were such a good team, and evolving together. And then at one moment there came this, we got married, by the way, in Thailand. So it's like a really big mix that we have together. But yeah, and then one moment there comes this thought, like, hey, do we want to have a family? Do we want to expand our life with 1, 2, 3 children? And yeah, so we prepared for that. And then the moment when we started, it didn't go the way we expected it to be. And 1.5 years later, we needed to confront ourselves by going to a clinic and see what's going on. Well, after 2 years of testing, nothing came out. Unexplained infertility, they call it, which is really frustrating because, and I don't know if I'm in the right place to say that, because I know a lot of women go through a lot of issues. But sometimes I'm thinking, just tell me what the problem is so I can see if I can fix it.
Mhm.
And that as a type A, this is really this mentality that I have, like, okay, what's the issue? Change, make a new choice, fix it. But that doesn't work if there's no cause.
Yeah.
And so unexplained infertility it was. And we've been going for years through treatments, IUIs, IVFs. And I've always compared infertility with climbing a really high mountain. So I had this idea that on top of the mountain, there's this baby that I want so badly that I do everything for to make that happen. So whenever, like, going through this whole procedures and everything, it was like climbing up, but then falling down and starting all over, picking myself back up, climbing up, and then again, failed cycle, failed treatment, whatever happened, put me back down, and okay, put my backpack on, and there we go again. And this motion the whole time. So what happened? I was so focused on this top of the mountain to go to where this baby was and this family life, that I started saying no to my friends. I started saying no to doing activities. I was not so focused on my business anymore. Even my relationship was not that important in that moment, because on the top of the mountain there was this baby that I was looking for. And then one day I did a meditation, and I was sitting on the bed, and it was like a visualization, and I saw myself there, climbed all the way on top of the mountain with the baby in my hand, and I was looking at her, and I felt so incredibly happy. It was like everything I worked for, everything I wanted so badly, that I prepared my whole life for, to become a mom and having this little baby girl in my hands. And then I looked up, and there was nothing. There were no friends, no business, no husband. Everything was gone. And I had a massive insight that moment. I literally, like, shook out of that visualization that I was doing in that moment. I shut it down, and it just woke me up so badly, because for years I've been looking on top of the mountain to having this baby, and I visualized myself having that baby, but then at cost of everything, at cost of the great relationship I had with my husband, the many friends that I have around me, the business that gives me so much joy. And when I realized that, I immediately had the feeling I need to change some things. I cannot be only focused on this anymore. And so there is this circle with all the facets of your life, right? And for me, this was this big circle that was filled with the baby, and I needed to get my other compartments back in it. My health, for example, I was giving everything for going through the treatments, whatever they asked me to do, I did, but I was not taking care of my health. And I don't mean my physical health, because I was doing everything I needed to do, but my mental health, my negative self-talk, my doubts, not taking time to grieve between treatments. And So I started taking care of that. We started incorporating date nights again. I reconnected with my friends, and making my life bigger. And the silly thing is, because during this treatment, I was still traveling around the world. I was walking the most beautiful mountains. I was sitting on the most beautiful white sandy beaches with transparent water. Like, my life was amazing. I just didn't feel it. The only thing that I felt was striving for that baby that I wanted. And yeah, so I had this really big realization. And in the last 2 years of our treatments, I shifted and I started living again. I started waiting and I started living again. And that made a huge shift in how I experienced the whole last part of my treatment. And last March, our treatments came to an end without a baby, which I know a lot of people, everybody wants the success stories. And a lot of times, this is the stories that go out in public as well. Like, you do IVF, oh, your baby will come, it's going to work out. But we did 3 IVFs and it didn't work out. And at one moment, for medical reasons, we needed to stop last March. And suddenly I was sitting there and thinking, now what? Like, I've prepared my whole life for it. I've worked my ass off the last 6 years to reach this goal. And for what? I didn't get nothing back for it. And I don't want to diminish any feelings of people who go through fertility treatments, or anybody who's going through hardship to have the baby that they want so badly, and they having the baby. That's not replacing this whole process and this whole journey that you're going through. But somehow in my mind, I always had this idea: keep pushing, Rianna. It's going to be worth it. One day it's going to be worth it. When you have that baby in your arms, you're going to look back and think, this is what you did it for. But now what? I had nothing that made it worth it.
Yeah.
And so I really hit rock bottom in that moment. I lost my purpose, my meaning. What is the point? This was my big dream. All the rest was just like little parts of it. And this was just, my husband and I were visualizing ourselves. We literally didn't go to South Africa because we said, one day we're going to do this as a family when our kids are 5 and 7 years old, like the perfect 2-year distance. And we had everything planned. It's going to be a girl first and then a boy, like you can plan such a thing. But naive me was thinking that it's possible. And then we're going to South Africa and we're going to rent a Jeep, drive around there, all these kind of things. And all that fell away. And that made me feel really, really in a deep, dark, black place. And I didn't know how to get out of it. I remember, like, after, I think it was like 2.5 months in or something. And I woke up in the middle of the night and bad dreams again. And I woke up my husband and I said, I need to get out of this. How I want to feel happy again. I am this positive person. I am this bright light. People like to hang around with me. But for the past 2.5 months, there was nobody. I felt so alone because people didn't want to hang out with me. The only thing I wanted to talk about was my grief. And I could not process it. I looked for therapists. I couldn't find people who understood me. And so I woke him up that night and I said, I need to get out of this. I want to be my happy self again. I want to enjoy our travels. I want to live a life with meaning and find fulfillment in other things. And I think that moment he said the most profound thing. He's an amazing guy. And he said the most profound things. He said, Rianna, you have done hard before. You can do hard. Go back to all those moments that you picked yourself back up after something that happened and think, how did you get out of that? Because you did get out of it. You crossed these valleys of deepness and darkness, whatever you were going through. And I mean, there's so many other things that happened in my life, and I did get back. I did not let it, I carry it with me, but I did not let it affect my happiness, my joy, and my zest for life, if you want to call it like that. And I lost completely everything in that time. And I got a notebook and I started writing down. I started writing down everything that I've done in all these other situations to get myself back up. And slowly, slowly, I started incorporating all these things. And one of the main thing of that was, and it's been always really powerful for me, is finding my tribe, finding people who get me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for example, when it's not the boyfriend that I bought a house with in the Netherlands, but the boyfriend before that cheated on me. And I was so done with guys that my tribe existed of single female friends only. And that felt good because they all got me. And then when I left the Netherlands and I started traveling, my whole tribe was existing of other travelers, people who understand what. We're not asking when are you gonna go back home. No, they understood this is cool. This is living. And then when I became a business owner, my tribe was existing of entrepreneurs, those people who inspire me and push me and to continue. But then when I became childless, there was nobody. There is no tribe. There is nobody on Facebook posting pictures with their empty arms or their bruised belly saying, look, I did treatment, but it failed. Or women who had this dream of having a family and having this nursery room already and never being able to use it and posting pictures of an empty nursery room. You know, all these kind of things. People don't talk about it. It's really like a silent struggle. And I had such a hard time to finding my tribe, my people. And that's when last September, I decided I need to create something so special, so unique that they're going to find me. And that's what I've done. And that's what I'm doing right now. And it's a gift wrapped in an ugly paper, if you want to say it like this, because this is not how I thought of my life would go. But it's still beautiful in the way that it now turned out. And yeah.
And it really is. And you're right, like people get super excited. So people who would have been who would have children would want to avoid you because they wouldn't want you to feel bad, or somebody who was pregnant would want to avoid you. So yeah, it does definitely become isolating because they don't know what to say or how to do it or anything like that. And so I really strongly commend you on that that perseverance of adjusting with your grief. And like you said, in between each treatment, in between each stage of being able to grieve that loss, because it is each and every time of having to go through, because you've got that excitement, everything's like really there. And so I love how you describe that it's a gift wrapped in an ugly paper. And it's like,
yeah, it's not my quote, but it's beautiful how it's said. Yeah.
And I love that because it is really that beautiful gift of being able to find, like you said, finding your tribe, and you're right, nobody posts about like all the horrors of all the things that they've had to go through, and all the challenges, and what it is that's going on, or how it is that's helping. And I know that my comparison is definitely not the same as yours, but when I had my miscarriage, as that was devastating. And it was like, and until I started talking about it, then I found out there were many more women that had actually gone through it as well. But I was fortunate to be able to have 2 healthy babies afterwards. But that initial was like really challenging, and it was difficult to go through that. And I couldn't imagine doing this on an ongoing basis, right?
No.
So like I couldn't imagine having to go through that struggle and having to go through that grief each and every time.
I think it's really beautiful. Yeah, and I think it's really beautiful what you're addressing right now. And that's my whole point about this tribe is no matter what you're going through, the only people who are going to understand it are the people who've been through the same. And finding these people can feel like such a relief and a welcoming, and this feeling of you're not alone. That can be addressed. You feel seen and heard and acknowledged, because it's hard for the outside world to understand what's going on. That's what I really experienced as well when I after the IVF, when we ended up childless. For the outside world, I still look the same as 6 years ago. I had a husband and traveling around the world, and I have good running businesses. But inside, those 6 years have been devastating. And after 6 years, we had to move on in a whole different phase, but the outside picture was still the same.
Yes.
And so it's hard for people when they try to comprehend your situation. A lot of times what happens is people give unsolicited advice, or they make comments that are really harmful because they don't get it, and you cannot blame them for them. I've been really angry on those people saying the wrong things in the beginning. Now looking back, I know they just wanted to help.
Yes.
And it's the same. Like I would say, I do the same to people for whose situation I don't understand. Of course, I'm now more compassionate because I know what I've been through myself. But still, and then it's all about like, yeah, stepping in your situation, setting boundaries, and dealing with this and protecting yourself. And the best way where you can let go of all those boundaries and protecting yourself is with your people, with your tribe.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit more about this this adventure that you have. Like, what is it that you have planned? So tell me more about that.
Yeah, so March is the first one of many more to come. What I've set up is a walking and a hiking retreat. So we're gonna this March with 7 women. We're gonna hike a part of the Appalachian Trail in America. So it's all about literally moving, because we know when you're dealing with grief, trauma gets stored in our body. It literally gets stored. So even though you process it mentally, it's still in your body and it needs to get out. And one of the best ways to do is moving. And it doesn't have to be severe exercise. It's literally moving your body, letting the blood flow. And the hiking is one of my biggest passions. I love hiking. We did a 21-day trek in the Himalayas, in Nepal, in Peru, the Machu Picchu, like everything. And when we find a hike, we extend it to make it even a bigger experience, because I love to be in nature. And that has been a huge part of my healing process throughout the whole past years. And what I'm doing now is taking women on those trips for a couple of days, and we're literally moving our body, but we're also literally moving our story and our situation. And in my team, there's a grief counselor, because I know my limits. And it's really important that there's somebody who can support us through the whole grief process, which is still really, this is something that we're always going to carry with us. There are women who are joining who are just half a year out of the journey, but there are also 2 women joining who are already years out of the journey. They have a different story of grief. And so I'm really blessed with having such a gifted grief counselor with me. And what we're going to do is, in the first day, one and a half day, it's all about what's your story, and share it and hear it and go through it and work with it. And then slowly moving on to, okay, redesigning your plan A, because everybody has a plan A, and we don't want to go to plan B. We have to redefine plan A. So like I said, when I was in Paris, standing on the bridge there and saying, I'm only going to do things that make me happy. From that moment on, I was not setting goals anymore. I was setting desires. So I know whatever I'm doing, there are certain core feelings that I want to feel. And this is what I base my whole life on. If I don't feel these things, I know I'm off. So it's not about reaching that goal anymore, because we've seen how a goal can fail us so badly. I mean, the goal was having a baby. It didn't work out. Then what? My whole life is over. It cannot be. And then moving to the present. So it's really about getting clarity about your future and building the confidence to step into this new you, redefined you. And I'm super excited. So March is going to be Appalachian Trail. Then this summer there's going to be one in Mexico. Then September we're going to do a Camino de Santiago in Spain. So it's going to be all over the world. I love that everything comes together for me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing these adventures with like-minded women and helping each other in this process to moving forward and moving beyond childlessness, because there's no more.
And I love that part of, like, because I do know that, like, trauma stays in our body. So with my background of addiction and mental health, like, that is something that I've known for a number of years with my clients as well as for myself. But movement is definitely one of those ways of being able to get that out of getting unstuck in your body. But yeah. I love the visual part of being able to see how, like, not only are you physically moving through hiking and those kinds of things, but you're physically moving. Like, you're not staying, you're going to be checking out different places and and moving through that grief process through that movement. And I think that that's absolutely beautiful. And I love how you've been able to put this together, and like you've got plans for like the next one and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. And so this is incredible. And so yeah, so if somebody is watching this, and so I've put your link in the chat, but if somebody's watching this, what is what and they're on the fence, they're not sure what to do, what's your one thing that you can say to get them to take that step, to take that next level of healing?
I think what's the only thing I would say, find your tribe. Find people who get you. This has been so important. And what for me really helped in the last year was speaking up about my story, to raise awareness around it, and make people see that it's not a taboo. We can talk about this. But you need to be really, I don't know what the right word is, confident, comfortable with your story and sharing it, because there are a lot of people who are not going to understand it, and you're going to get a lot of messages that are not so nice to receive, in the sense just about misunderstanding. But it really has helped me to share your story with people who get you. So if there's anybody who really feels they're alone now, that people don't get them, and they're in a situation as I am, please reach out. I'm always willing to hop on a call, because I think that's the most powerful thing you can have. Because there are a lot of groups out there, and there's a lot of chatting going back and forward, but it's this moment that we have right now, looking into each other's eyes and really be connected, and sitting here and listening to each other and feeling seen and heard. And I think that's the most important thing in this whole healing process, to feel that you're not alone.
And it's so important. It is so important for us to feel that we're not alone. And that's one of the things. So Rianna is actually joining us for our women's conference, so our 6th annual Women Inspiring Women Conference. And so I'm really excited that she's going to be there. But also, but that entire conference is about remembering that we're not alone, and being able to have that support, and being able to hear each other, and being able to have that opportunity to be able to be heard. And so the theme of the conference this year is embrace, learning to express ourselves. Right. Yeah. So like, this is like a really nice stepping space. And so I love this. And I love that you are comfortable enough to be able to share your journey, comfortable enough to be able to share your sorrow and your grief, as well as your excitement of like the good things to come. And so being able to have that outlook is always something that's really helpful. But at the same time, being able to be realistic. Right. Yeah. So being able to be realistic in what it is that we're going on. And like you said, being able to visualize. They tell you all the time, visualize what it is that you want. And like you said, you visualized. And when you shared that, I had goosebumps all over my entire body, because it's like I looked up and I was alone. I had nobody around me. But I was visualizing exactly what it is that I wanted. Right. And that is still one of the things that are still really important. But you've shifted that into like not just visualizing what it is, but being able to embody the feeling of what it is that you want, and being able to take it from a different angle in terms of what's best for your own highest good in the situation and circumstances that you're in. And your husband is a very wise man who is very supportive, and I'm very thankful for him. For you. And so for anybody who is listening, he is going to be joining us next week on Chatting with Wisdom as well. But it's incredible with being able to have that support, right? Because sometimes that's not the support that you end up with, right? Because when you're going through this, it's two people. And so sometimes if you can't come together in that grief or in that loss, then you can end up being again isolated and alone. So being able to still have that having that support is something that is incredible, of being able to help you through that step in those stages. So thank you so much for sharing, Rianna. It was incredible for you to be able to stay present in your grief as you shared. And so thank you so much for that. Is there anything else that you wanted to share before we headed out?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for having me. I think this is so important that we let these stories be heard and seen, and that other people out there know that it's okay, and that there are more people struggling with this and finding their way in it. And it's been really helpful for me also to hear people who are women in my situation, hearing them further in the process, to know like, okay, I feel really bad right now and really low, but there is something that's going to come. I don't know what yet, but there is something in my future. And
Yeah.
feeling that, having that feeling is really valuable, I think.
Beautiful. And so for anybody who's listening, please share this out, to people that you know, because there's probably at least one person in your circle of women that are going through this and are really struggling. So please share it out so that others know. Not that I don't want you to share any of my other interviews, but please, I'm really asking you to send this out and share this with people that you do know, so that people are able to find their tribe, and finding Rianna and others like her that are going through this journey. So thanks again. And we will be back next week with Rihanna's husband. And so I will chat with you guys later, and have a fabulous day. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.